There we go. Carp Bros number deuce coming at you. And Sunday afternoon, little golf, little baseball, a little pool for me. I've been in the pool for 3 hours. And the kids, you thought they'd be done for the day. Nope, they're still playing. And they said,
So,
"How long are you gonna be?" I said, "I don't know." And all they want to do is get back in the pool again after they ate. And I'm like, "Oh, whatever."
yep. Well, I have
So
a
that's how
hard
this day
stop.
is going.
I have a
What's
hard
that?
stop at 4:30 your time, so you can tell them to gear up
Oh,
for then.
shoot. Okay. Well, the good news is I had the beer pack already loaded, so
Yep.
and all I had to do was grab that, so I'm good to go for at least an hour. That's cool.
Yep.
But yeah, what's going on?
How much? Just catching up a little bit, just hitting the online here. And like we talked about last time, Adelaide is the big tournament for Live. It looks like they're,
Well, that was last week's, so this is Singapore this week.
oh, that's right. How
Yeah,
did the Singapore turn out compared to Adelaide?
it's not gonna touch Adelaide. No, not bad considering. But Adelaide's got Cam Smith, and that's
Yeah.
why it's such a huge draw.
Yeah.
And it happened to be the first one last year that had like the big, huge, party hole, the mimic of the WMPO 16th, and
Yep.
so it was a huge success. That was just a combination of a perfect storm. It sets up the rest of them kind of to be, but at the same time, to be honest, I mean, Singapore is a whole different environment, and so they're not really all into the whole party hole experience. So
Yeah. That's true.
it was fine. I mean, the haters are going to say there wasn't nobody there. Well, it's not true. There were people there, but they didn't put 300,000 through the gates. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. Um,
Yep.
but the good part is the leaderboard was stacked.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Leishman, Cam Smith, two Aussies. Then you got
Yeah.
Taylor Gooch, who I know has been hot on the Live Tour since it started, and
Yeah.
obviously Kipka winning it. So yeah,
If you haven't read and listened to his comments, he's also pretty much the most hated player on the planet right now, too.
including in Live.
No, not in live.
Okay.
Around the globe. So the entirety of golf world, because he keeps basically bashing anybody and everybody because OWGR and majors, you name it, and he just says, "Nah, f that," and everybody keeps saying, "Well, you're not. Why don't you try qualifying?" He's like, "Nope, not doing it." So,
Doesn't have to. Doesn't need to.
well, to play in the majors, he does, and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna do it." Like, whatever. So
Yeah.
it's
This kind of
interesting.
this kind of goes back to our conversation on episode 1 where we were talking about just he might be of the mindset of I don't have to because eventually the market's going to force you guys to allow us in, and I'm just out of precedence, not going to worry about it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to get inside his head on that.
To some degree, yeah. Well, and Phil kind of he didn't quite say it the right way, but there was somebody and I don't remember what they said, and then he chimed back and said basically like, "Well, what if no live players play in anything ever again?" And it was kind of like a almost like a call out shot to some degree, and it was
Phil
right,
said that.
Phil, and it was all kind of on the tail end of Norman for the about the fifth time in 2 weeks flat out saying, "Look, my boss has told me this is very in very clear terms. Live will last well past my death." And Phil goes, "He's a young man. He ain't old."
About who?
Yasser, the the money,
Oh,
the funds, the PIF, the guy from the group over in the Saudi that is the head of Live, if you will.
yeah.
And so no matter what happens and no matter where it goes, he has flat out said this is not going anywhere ever.
Well, back to Kepka, I just was thinking as we're talking here for those out there who all one or two of them who may listen to this ever, Kepka earned 39 million in official earnings on the PGA Tour since he started in 2013. So that's about 3.9 million per year
Lifetime.
average. But
Yeah.
since he joined Live, first is the $150 million signing bonus. And based upon what he's earned, which is a total of 15.5 million between last year and 2022. Well, he's tripled his PGA Tour earnings in 2 years.
And technically, those aren't PGA Tour earnings because the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship, Masters, no, not Masters yet. Anyways, his majors earnings are counted. They're not part of the tour, but they
That's
count them in.
fair. Yeah,
So
that's
they're
fair.
not. That's not PGA Tour money. That's individual, separate individual tournament monies. So technically, it's even less than that,
Yep.
which means the PGA Tour made a hell of a lot of money off of him, and he kind of got me.
Yep.
That's what this all. I mean, it's not what it was all about, but so yeah, never has been more obvious example. The immediate issue faces Live faces in today. Volvo China Open was played for 2.25 million purse, which is not actually true. And several players qualified for the PGA Championship at Valhalla. Live Golf Singapore played for a purse more than 10 times that amount, with a bunch of the best players of this generation, but zero of them qualified for the PGA Championship from that event. Live can have the grandest of plans for their future, but getting players access to major championships should be their number one priority, especially with major exemptions running out fast and nearly all the player contracts up for renewal this year and next, which they're all going to get renewed, so it doesn't matter. Phil goes, well, maybe some Live players won't be missed, but what if none of the Live players played? Would they be missed? What about next year when more great players join? Question mark. Or the following year? Question mark. At some point, they'll care and will have to answer to sponsors and television. FAAFO.
Yeah, and by the way, I just realized the numbers I just talked about with Kepka, that was 11 months ago. So that didn't even account for anything he earned this weekend and anything in the last 10 months on Live. So it's probably
he's well in the last 2 years with Live, or whatever. He hadn't been 2 years, so he's been whatever you said, 12 a year. I mean, combined everything, he's probably earned about $300 million. So,
yep.
yeah.
Well, I don't know all the context behind Phil's comments, nor do I need to, but he's basically just doubling down on what he said from the jump. And if you look at it from a what has happened so far from a pure market standpoint, meaning who's playing where and where's the trend going, there's almost no positive trends in favor of the PGA. So to that point, Phil's absolutely right. If this keeps this way, then the PGA Tour is going to be left with.
The problem is there's no, it can't be measured the same anymore. The problem is in the U.S., you're going to have the U.S. fan base no matter what, and they're going to love the tour because it's tradition. And like the Scotty Schefflers. The problem with Scotty Scheffler and one of the guys I follow, he made a statement and everybody's giving him crap for weeks now since. He said, yeah, but he's not a star. But he didn't mean he's not a golf star. He's a golf excellent elite. The problem is he's nice. He's just a humble fella.
So, okay, I get it. Set that on the shelf for a second, because I would argue none of that matters, and here's why. If the trends toward Live continue, which is more players going that way, plenty of money backing it, no loss of revenue for the players who go there, even a Scotty Scheffler is going to end up there. You know why? Because the market won't fund the PGA Tour enough for him, even the nice guy, even the traditionalist, to always say, no matter what, I'm staying in the PGA. That's my guess, because that's just free markets.
Yeah. That's where the SSG and their new equity thingy that they dangled at them is supposed to keep the boat rowing, I guess. But no, I'm talking about, in other words, what he's saying is there's no real stars on the PGA Tour anymore. Meaning, Tiger Woods ain't nobody ever going to touch what he did, period, the end. And everybody talking about Scotty being Tiger, he's a long ways away. But he's doing really well. He's an elite player for sure. But what he's saying is he has no star quality. In other words,
I get it.
There's nothing to sell. He's just a boring old nice fella. He's a great person. He religious, really nice, really humble, could care less. He still drives like this 1887 Model T Ford car he's had for 400 years or some craziness. Like he's just plain and simple. Tiger was, get out of my way. I don't care. I'm about to beat you down. Let's go. And that sold because he followed it up. and he had the grit and the anger and the behind it, and everybody's like, "Whoa, look at this freaking guy!" And it brought people into golf.
Yep.
That's what this guy's talking about, and everybody keeps saying, "What are you talking about? Scotty's one of the elite golfers of all time." Blah blah. He's like, "That's not what I'm saying." He's like, "He's not a star, and he ain't." So
I
there's
don't
just a lot of
disagree with
stuff.
that. Yeah, I just think it's a different topic altogether. I don't think
It
that
is.
is going to um I
He's
just don't
not.
think it matters.
He's
I just don't
he's
think
not
it
gonna
matters.
save the. He's not gonna save the tour. That's the problem.
I I would argue even a Tiger Woods #2 is not going to save the PGA Tour based upon the current trends.
Like if there was a literal T-Dub number dose, but the problem is you did 10 years is what it would have to be.
That's my point. I
They
don't
ain't got
think
time.
all my points that I made last week, and I will argue from this point again, is strictly based upon things that it doesn't matter what our opinion is. It matters what the marketplace
Correct.
says they're going to put up with. And the marketplace is already saying, okay, well, we got more money over here and they've come this way. They're
Yeah.
going to keep coming this way. So do you, PGA Tour, dig your heels in, stick to tradition, which you and I both love, just like most of the people who love the traditions, but that doesn't matter. That's a moot point. It's here's the money, here's where they're all going to play, here's where we're going to keep going because SSG, unfortunately, they can't just keep giving money away, which is why there's 7 years to vest in what they
Well,
gave last weekend. But it's
it,
just markets. That's it.
it's going to come to a head for sure, and they don't have time to save it the way they want to. But that's why they keep using blood money. Oh, these unethical people! How dare you partner with them? And ain't nobody gonna listen to that. Not in today's day and age. Some
And
are. The
it's
US people are the hardcore US market that they're talking to, they're keeping that way because they're saying, how dare they come take away American golf? That's what they're basically saying. And that's the big problem. Everybody else around the globe says, we don't even care about your damn country. We don't want to play in your country anyways. We want our own thing.
so what do you think about this? How about if those same consumers of watching American golf, if they cared to look into the automobile sector and more specifically the electric automobile sector where all those precious metals and things have to be mined, and if you go and care to look at
I
how
know.
they're mined,
They
would
won't
they
listen.
would they have the same amount of gusto and emotion, because it's not entirely different. It's not humane, it's not ethical, it's not anything. And oh, by the way, it's taking away from, you could argue, the American automobile manufacturing.
Shoot.
It's a bit of a stretch analogy, but like it's just like
Yeah,
I
I
find
know.
that to be so hypocritical in that they won't go look at other areas
It's Nike.
and then they'll turn around and buy an electric vehicle. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
or Nike. Nike for years. Sweatshops. But then you get these if you try to bring up that point, you get these like high educated economic financial guys that come in with a bunch of big words and are saying, "Oh, that's a blah 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 view," and I'm like, dude, I don't even know 9 words you just used. Like, come on, just spit out with some normal crap here because they do. They respond, and that's a I can't even repeat the words. I don't know. I'm like reading it and I'm like, is this another language? Like, I don't know what this dude said. So, there's always some way because it's a fight. Plain and simple. There are some people that love the PGA Tour. They never wanted to finish, they never wanted to end. They had a monopoly. They knew they had a monopoly. They've been protecting the flipping monopoly for a long damn time. They've been telling the players to go take a hike. We'll give you what we damn well please, period. The end. Oh, you can be on the policy board. Sure. Yeah. Come talk to us. Bye. And finally, someone else figured it out enough, and Norman knew it 35 damn years ago. He just couldn't get a backer. Now he has a backer, and then he got Phil, and then off to the races. Here we go. So
Yeah. And
it's
don't
a
get me
fight.
wrong, I kind of wish Norman had a different backer, so this wasn't even part of the conversation because,
It make it easier for sure.
well, it would just make it better all around. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you wouldn't have to worry about the political aspect, the all the
yeah,
other extra layers that get folded into it.
yeah.
But the reality is, it doesn't matter. I mean, everybody argues about it and they waste time because, yes, it doesn't matter. If people are going to watch it and be a part of it, they're going to. And Norman, just again, his thing today, he indicated Japan's next. And in his interview on Bloomberg, he said we're seeing a significant ROI already. They weren't planning on it for another like 3 to 4 years.
Meaning going and playing live events in Japan. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, he was basically indicating that Japan's probably on the map next, which is
Yep.
good because that's huge. And then, but in the same conversation, he basically said we're already seeing ROI, and they weren't planning on it anytime soon. Now I don't know how that all shakes out. He's not going to share details, and it's hard to understand how ROA is possible at this stage with the amount of money that's been handed out. But maybe all that money wasn't handed out in one big lump sum. Like we don't know the details of all that. It's been
Yeah.
promised to them. Maybe it's paid per year over five. I don't know. Nobody really honestly knows the truth about any of that stuff. It's just a lot of speculation based off what we do know. So, but everyone over here is that there's no profit. That's not a business. That's just wasting money and burning it just for fun. I'm like, well, yeah, they also got 10% of Aramco refunded into the damn PIF. I think they're going to be okay.
Wow.
And if they choose to burn money, what do you care, anyways?
Yeah, they're not going to run out of money. Bottom
That
line.
well, and that's ultimately what Phil and Norman and Yasser have said at this point. It's like this is going to last past my death, no matter what it takes to make it happen. So we can just put that part aside now because they're just outward and said it doesn't matter. You can come back and say all the reasons why this is bad business, blah blah blah, but it's going to exist. Period. The end. But now we got. I think it was Phil also. I think it was Norman said, okay, at some point we're probably going to have some 72 hole events, and at some point we're going like they just opened up an inner season trade capability, so now you can trade amongst teams right now. So
Yeah.
that's going to happen. Like there are and I mean ultimately. So here's the big picture, okay? And this is why I kept trying. I follow the guys who seem to have the inside track on a lot of the stuff pretty closely. And from the beginning, they said, look, Live is just right now, this is just a tip of the iceberg in terms of what they're planning. This is just the start. We haven't even seen the big picture. Well, this is where it's now been pointed to. At some point, you are going to have countries with golf course ownership. Now, whether it be by Live or the individual teams, we don't know. But for now, we'll just call it Live. So Live is going to have, what is it like? I always forget the math. However many teams it is, right? Let's say 15 teams right now. And every 15, all teams will have a home location. They'll own the golf course that their home location is at. They'll build extra facilities like education and a fancy hotel. And anyway, it's going to be a home site, and each location is owned by the team or Live, whatever it is. That's becomes kind of the rota. That's the normal rotation for the big events. So the league itself is going to be a global league with home sites for all of these teams, and those will be the key locations for like the big events, like the majors. That's where they're going with all this. Like they're going to a different level of thinking about how to own, operate, and produce a league. So,
Yeah.
which is just
It's
a
funny.
and the fact that they're talking about it means, well, they're obviously heading that direction. So
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
but
Interesting stuff.
we'll see it unfold. It's I don't know, but the rest of the majors this year are going to be kind of they're pretty big. I mean, especially if Kepka like wins the Open or something, that's PGA. Woo, that'll really make it. I don't know what'll happen, to be honest, if he wins. It's going to be interesting to see. But
So,
the power struggle is where it's at more than anything right now. And I don't know.
yeah. Well, the power is always going to be where the money is, bottom line. So, not really a
Yeah.
struggle, if you ask me. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I don't my number one thing that I want to see what actually takes place is I don't see the OWGR ever giving them points. So I don't know how that's gonna all shake out. I just
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
just don't. I'll ask you, does the OWGR really hold in the long term any leverage?
Yes. The
Which is,
OWGR the OWGR board is made up of Augusta National Golf Club, USGA, PGA, PGA of America, RNA, the DP World Tour, and a few other people
So now
that are all
translate that in
tied to
terms.
what?
Translate that in practical terms to the
But
lay
they're
golf.
all they're financially tied to the PGA Tour because that has been the gold standard for 70, 80 years.
Okay.
So in order for them to maintain the power they have to have the PGA Tour running efficiently as the dominant tour on the globe because that works hand in hand.
Okay.
They hand out points to all these other tours, but if all of a sudden they went to like the Asian tour and said, all right, from now on you're getting equal points, well, all of a sudden you'd have this influx of Asian players getting just as many points as PGA Tour players. Now all of a sudden they're at equal playing fields. They got to keep the PGA Tour elevated because it's in the PGA Tour's best interest and the OWGR because they make more money right now based off all this.
So what would change that even the Asian tour players who aren't popular for them to go, I don't care anymore, I'm going to live?
Some already have one. Many of them, it is believed that they're again, if you believe who you believe, it is currently under the notion that DP World Tour, Asian Tour, again, DP World Tour said from now on we don't give a crap no more. Ryder Cup, Rahm and Hatton, you're in. We don't give a crap no more. F all this stuff, basically. So it is believed that there's probably a likely, I don't know, I don't want to call partnership necessarily, but some kind of conjoining because they're part of the global. Liv is trying to be the dominant global. The DP World Tour was held down by the PGA Tour, which is why they couldn't grow their brand to this level. I don't know. Here's my guess. Liv goes, hey guys, come here. Okay, all of you, you're part of us now. Yeah, we got them.
And oh, by the way, just to sweeten the pot, here's 100 million to do the things you haven't been able to do that the
Exactly.
PGA hasn't allowed you to do. That's such an easy play, and I think you're spot on. That's probably already in the works. And then let's say a bombshell like that happens. Maybe it happens before June. And then all of a sudden, US Open, and then in July, Open Championship, and then Tour Championship in August. All of them go, it doesn't really matter
Well,
anymore. So
well,
anyone from Live can come.
well, you already got to beat the Open Championship officially becomes Live basically.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
just they just they bought it. They got entry. They're going to throw all their guys in there right away. and
Which is
they're going to
why
make
I
it
think
and they're going to make it the premier event. They're going to try to turn the tides on the Masters and go, we got the big one now. Screw you, Augusta
listen,
National,
like
Georgia.
I am the novice ding dong between the two of us when it comes to all things golf, but this is not, I've said it for 2 years now since you and I talked about it. This is not complicated. It's where the money is and the market rules,
Mm-hmm.
which don't care about tradition. Say it's going to go, it's going to go. It's just a matter of time.
And we're influenced by the U.S. That's the other problem. So we get the heads on nonstop beating of the U.S. media only. Globally, Live is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
The interest, the popularity, the idea that Live's going to be something now that's going to be there in the future, and they're going to be able to every year plan on this month in my country and blah blah blah. Like people are just starting to now finally just go, what?
So here's a question. Forget about the blue bloods, the traditionalists, the PGA Tour people, because that's obvious. That's not my question. But for the game of golf and for the golf fans out there like me, who I don't really, frankly, see much reason to spend energy on why the PGA needs to stay the PGA, blah blah blah. So let's just assume all that.
Yeah.
In the event that all the majors, the Open, the Masters, the Players, the US Open, PGA Championship, etc., in the next 6 to 12 months go, Live players can play, no problem, just like everyone else. Don't care where you come from. What is bad about that for golf?
They lose power and money.
No, I said I teed up
Oh,
my
for
question.
golf, nothing. No,
I
that's
think, yeah,
exactly what
my
everybody
question,
wants.
yeah, the caveat to my question was forget about PGA Tour.
Oh yeah, no,
And
no, nothing. No, it's great. Everybody gets what they want. Who wants to watch golf? Exactly. Yeah, everybody's been saying it
it's
for a
like
month.
they they do not have the money nor the leverage to prevent this from happening. End of
That,
story.
the only way they do is if SSG somehow comes in and buys the players, and then they take over the tour. Though that's the
What
only
do you
way.
mean by buys the players?
Like they buy the player. In other, just so like all their other sports. If you got the Boston Red Sox guy, right, and he's got his team, the guy sitting on the bench that never sees the field still gets paid $2.5 million a year.
But SSG doesn't have the money to do that.
No, but they probably have the resources to build it to where they could. Like they have the I guess expertise and capabilities of maybe finding it. Let's put it that way. But they'd have to take over the tour basically. The tour would have to. It'd be like the tour fails and gets bought out. It's the only way. I don't see a path for them anymore. I don't see it.
I don't think
They're
they
gonna
have the
lie.
money.
They're gonna
And I
lie
don't,
and say they're totally fine, but I don't.
yeah, I don't think they have the money. I don't think they have the wherewithal to go get the money because they've already lost too many players, which is the entire product. And
Yeah,
I don't think they have the money to buy the players.
they they don't right now. No. Well, they got money, but they're not willing to say they got money. That's the problem. But I don't know how much. But no, they're they've got their corporate. So their corporate interests are still their number one, partners. If they all walk out, they're screwed. But if they stay, they still got what they need to continue to operate, right? The SSG is there to help not only with some of the financial burden, but they're really there to start saying, hey, look, you guys are running this terribly. You got to stop this shit, basically, is what it comes down to. But then it becomes, does it get to the point where they take over as actual owners of the PGA Tour Enterprises becomes SSG's, they're the parent company of PGA Tour Enterprises. That's
As
the
long
only plan. It's the only plan that makes sense right now. It's the only one.
it is, and it makes a lot of assumptions. Like A, they have enough money. B, they can buy the product, which is a really bad assumption. And C, the sponsors are going to stay incentivized to keep sponsoring these things. I think that has a very short runway right now
Well,
because while the ratings may still be okay right now, the reality is those ratings, as more guys go to live, are not going to stay okay.
here's what my assumption would be: they know how to run businesses better than what currently is doing it at the PGA Tour level, right? So, say Monahan, it's not really him, but whatever. I think they simply come in and they change the whole thing. They're basically gonna take like everything they like. You know, everybody wants to see Pebble Beach in the West Coast swing. Okay, well, we're keeping Pebble Beach, but we're just going to spice it up somehow or something or whatever. Everybody wants to, still see Hawaii in January. Like there's going to be, but they're going to simply come in, they're going to cut the fat.
Yep.
It's going to cut the fat. And then it's going to make it more important because when it gets to like this tournament this week is an absolute joke. It's an absolute like pitiful joke of boring crap. And people are pretending like they still love it because it's the Byron Nelson Classic. It's not even the Byron Nelson Classic. The CJ Cup got brought in during COVID, and they had nowhere to go and no way to give them a tournament. So they just said, "Here, you're going to be co-sponsored with the Byron Nelson." Those guys are Asian. They don't care about Texas golf. It doesn't even make any sense. But here it is: CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, Texas Open, blah 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 blah. Like you got like 15 titles on this tournament, and nobody cares about it anyways. It's like, what do we do? Whatever. My guess is if they're going to try to save it, they simply cut the fat, start over, keep the most important ones. The most important ones become, which is already the signature events. The players get more time off, which they desperately want, anyways. We get rid of the extended schedule. Honestly, the FedEx Cup probably goes away because it's kind of stupid, anyways, to be honest. Um, they just cut it. They just cut it up.
I've
Why
never
are you
really
competing? Why are
understood
you
why.
competing with football anyways? Why? Why would you compete with football? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I think the business guys are probably behind the scenes right now with Tiger as well, going, honestly, they're going to anoint Tiger if they can. But
I
this
know
new,
what you said.
oh yeah, this new PGA Tour Enterprises whatever you want to call it, and it's probably going to be renamed. They're probably going to change the whole thing, cut the fat, keep the important sponsors on board for whatever the plan is, because they'll go, oh, okay, we like that. Yeah, we can get behind that. Then they keep the money flow that way. Then they keep the players happy that way. Then they keep some of the interest happy in the US that way. And then they come out and they go, oh, by the way, you know that Tiger guy? Y'all love him. He's done playing though. Yeah, he can't play no more. He's broken. Um, he is God of golf. Yes, that's what we're calling him. God of golf. Tiger Woods. Welcome. You are running the PGA Tour Enterprises. He'll be a face though. He won't do nothing. But he'll be officially the Jay Monahan of the new PGA Tour.
So here's what's funny about the Byron Nelson right now. I've watched golf long enough that I know names reasonably well. Not like you do, of course.
Sure.
Let's just say I'm the majority out there of have been
2 hours
around.
on 2 hours on Sunday afternoon only.
Right. I'm looking at the leaderboard and like, okay, due respect, Zach Johnson is T18. And the next name I genuinely like, I recognize a couple names above it, but like I really don't know them hardly at all to where I could. But like the next name I recognize, Adam Scott, tied for 27th.
Mm-hmm.
That tournament's not going to be on TV for very many more years.
Probably the last year.
Because whoever the sponsor is, which doesn't matter who they are, they're not going to keep sponsoring it.
Nope.
That's my point. Like
Nope.
none of these are going to keep getting sponsored to the extent that they can keep putting them on TV. Because it's going to be an ROI that's non-existent for the sponsors.
Well, the dumbest thing about it, the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, the CJ Cup in 2020, 21, and I believe 22 as well, they were all played in different parts of Asia. Off-season event also.
Yeah.
So what they did is they said, hey, CJ Cup, sorry, we can't come to Asia no more. You all want to come over here and just kind of be a co-sponsor of one of our other thingies though?
Yeah.
How much? Oh, a lot less. Don't worry about the money. That's okay. We just want you to still be with us. Yeah, sure. At Craig Ranch in Texas. Because Asians love Texas. The title alone makes you go, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Interesting.
The,
Well,
the event was actually a lot of fun when it was in Asia, because Ben On would go play. He wears CJ Cup on that's his sponsor. And so he'd go over there and it was like a party for Ben An. It was amazing. It was awesome. And then Sanjay M as well and some of the other fellows, but it was a really fun event when it was over there. So you know, they're gonna have to make some changes, but they're trying to make changes and do things somehow right. But the number one thing they're trying to maintain is the monopoly power of golf, which they don't really technically have now. But they really want to maintain the core structure of the PGA Tour, the main things that everybody really cares about. You know, you like this one, not really that many people paid attention to it anyways, but except for just the hardcore me. You know, I know every name. I know all these people. I remember these people when they played in college. So like for you, you're not into it. So Jake Knapp is actually cool to see because he's a young up and comer that blew the doors off the PGA Tour when he hit the tour this year, coming up from the KFT.
how long do you think it'll be before Liv goes, hey, come on over?
They've already talked to him. I can guarantee you.
Here's 20 million. Come on
They've
over.
already talked to him. They've already talked to him. I can guarantee you. The only reason he's still there is he probably still has the boyhood dreams of growing up and all those years of Tiger and so many people, and they have 4 FIO championships and they have 3 Pebble Beach championships and they have so many of these and so many and the Palmers and the Nicholas, you know, the big they still have those dreams in their head. That's why JT stayed.
Yeah.
He's really good friends with Tiger, and he still has those dreams in his head of having, you know, 10 of these and 5 of these and 6 of those. They still have, it's the one thing they're holding on to.
Yeah.
That's it. So
Interesting.
you don't know. I mean, I can guarantee you they've talked to Knapp. The bet, one of the best moves they could have made about 3 weeks ago was taking Knapp and stealing him after he won. So,
Yep.
but yeah, but you probably don't know. So go down the list. I don't know how good he's doing today, but the first 2 days of the tournament, 15-year-old shoots 68, 67 to make the cut.
Yep.
Like that doesn't happen on the tour. Like you show up, you shoot whatever, 74, 75. Everybody, you
Yep.
can't wait to see him in 6 years. That's a good kid right there. He's, he's beating the pants off tour pros.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It just feels like something that's trying to hold on that doesn't have a prayer and is gonna die a slow death. And even the even the majors will eventually.
well, the problem with the majors is they're in bed